Nice. This year I graduate from high school. Yeah, I think that actually sounds really good. Um, we might use the future tense. Future tense might sound a little bit better. This year I will graduate, but the present tense actually works for that sentence as well. Um, nice, really good job. Let's go to the next page. And let's have Santiago. Can you read the title and the paragraph?
The next one, no?
Yeah, so the next page. Can you read the first paragraph?
Discussion. In the United States, there are certain years where students have to take benchmark tests. If a school's students do well on the test, the school gets more money. If the students do poorly, the school's funding is cut.
Awesome. Really good. That sounded great. The school's funding is cut. Yeah, I think that sounded really good. And Santiago, can you ask Rafa the first question? And actually, welcome to class, Rafa. I didn't see you slip in there.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Santiago, can you ask the first question?
Okay. What do you think of a standard set benchmark test?
I think it's a good way to prove the knowledge of the students, and also is related to make a platform very similar in every college. For this reason, I think I agree that the benchmark test could be done in every school, at every school. I think it's a great idea.
Nice. At every school. Good. So I agree that the benchmark test should be done at every school. Maybe can you repeat that sentence one more time, Rafa?
I agree.
Yes,
Sorry. I agree. The benchmark test should be done in every school, at every school, or in
Good.
every, I don't know.
Yeah, either work. At every school, in every school. They're both pretty identical in that situation. Um, and Santiago, can you repeat standardized benchmark? Standardized benchmark?
A standard benchmark. Difficult.
Yeah, that's a tough word. One more time. Standardized. Standardized.
standardized,
Standardized
Good.
standardized,
Okay.
standardized,
benchmark.
price.
Yeah. Good. Okay, nice job, guys. Okay, and Rafa, can you ask Miguel the next question?
Yes. Do this test exist in your country?
I think it doesn't. They don't exist in Spain. I think the only text that we do as a students were a text to evaluate the teacher. But I think our knowledge was not measured.
Nice. Our knowledge was not measured. Can you repeat measured? Measured.
Measure,
Measure,
measure.
Nice.
measure.
Awesome. Measured. And remember when we're negating something, we'd use the auxiliary verb to do. So I do not think they exist in Spain. Miguel, can you repeat that sentence one more time?
I don't think they exist in Spain.
Yeah, and then we'd say the only tests we did are the only tests that we took, evaluated the teachers. Can you repeat the only tests we did or the only tests we took?
The only text we did, or we only text we took.
Nice. Okay, good. That sounds great. And Miguel, can you ask Javier the last question?
Javier, do they help or hurt schools and students?
In my opinion, I think that is a good idea. Uh, in this way, I think that the majority of students uh, uh, try to prove that uh, uh, there's uh, the, there's school is better than another school.
Okay, so maybe they'll try to prove that their school is better than other schools. Yeah, that's definitely a good answer. I think that you've got a good point. Okay, um, awesome. So does anybody else have any questions or comments for this page? Any other questions or comments?
I have a question about the word standardized.
Okay, so what does
What is
it
that?
mean?
Yeah,
Can anybody define standardized? Does anybody know what standardized means?
It's related to do a level very similar for everyone, and you can make a standard for everyone. It's a kind of level, could be.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry about interrupting. Thought my microphone was off, but perfect. That's exactly right, Rafa. Really good job. Bruno, does that answer your question?
yes. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, good. And yeah, thank you, Rafa. Any other questions or comments on this page? Does anybody else have any questions or comments?
Teacher, in this case, we are talking about pub school. No?
Yeah, public school. This would be public school for sure.
Okay.
Okay. But good. Let's go to the next page. And let's have David, can you read the role of the boy? Can you read the boy's role, David? And Bruno, can you read the girl's role?
Okay. Hey, Susie, did you have any trouble with our math homework last night?
No, why?
I thought a couple of these were tricky. Can I check my answer with yours?
Okay.
Thanks. What did you get for questions 1?
7.
Good. That's what I got. What did you get for question 2?
Drop that, Calvin.
Nice. Good job. Really good reading, both of you guys. Okay, and Bruno, can you ask Antonio the first question?
Antonio, what do you think of this comic?
I think is the boy tries to benefit of the girl. No, in this case, he try to get the answers to the ask. Is possible?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's trying to take advantage of the girl. He's trying to ask her for the answers. I think that's definitely right. Can you read the sentence in the chat box one more time? Can you read the sentence in that chat box? Sorry, Antonio, do you see the sentence that I wrote in the chat box? Can you see that, Antonio?
Read Read the second question.
Okay, not quite.
No.
So the chat box is like an application. It's like Google Drive. It's an application. It's a blue square in the left side of the screen. So if you click on that button, you can see a chat box where I've been writing. Can you see that, Antonio?
No.
Okay, so if you put your mouse over the screen, so you put your mouse over the screen and there's a bar on the left side. that pops up. You see that now? Sorry, Antonio, where are you from? Too.
I'm from Spain, but the problem is
Ah,
the image appears in my computer very little, and I
okay.
can't I can see it.
It's definitely very small. Pero para explicarlo rápido, es como una aplicación. El lado izquierdo de bueno, de la pantalla.
Sí,
Entonces solamente si pone bueno, su ratón encima de la pantalla, aparece como una línea de aplicaciones. Entonces encima
sí,
de
sí,
la línea hay la aplicación de chat, es como caja de
sí,
mensajes. Entonces si haga
sí,
clic
sí.
en la caja de mensajes, hay una oración que escribí
I
hace
think
no mucho.
sí.
Yeah. Entonces, can you read that sentence one more time?
Okay, sorry.
Don't be.
I think the boy is trying to take advantage of the girl.
Perfect. Awesome. Really good job. And Antonio, can you ask Alba the next question?
Okay, Alba, have you ever done something like this? Explain.
Yeah, I have to confess that I've done. I think every children have done things like that. Um, I have to say that I'm a teacher nowadays, but when I was a child, I was very lazy, and I suppose I tried to copy sometimes.
Nice. Yeah, for sure. That's definitely something that a lot of people did in school, especially when they were that age. Um, I think I think that every children has done things like that. We'd say every child has
Every
done.
child, okay.
Yeah. So it would be singular. So every child, so that every would get all of them. Um, so I have to convince. Yeah, but that was good. Really good answer, Alba. And what about you, Santiago? Have you ever done something like this?
Well, yeah, sometimes, but not very often.
Yeah, nice. Definitely not very often. Good. Really good answer. And what subject did you do it in? Was there a certain subject that you did it in, Santiago?
Um, I can't remember now. Maybe in math because
Yeah.
I was really bad in math.
Yeah. Math was my weakest subject. I just didn't like it very much. But good. Awesome answer. And does anybody have any questions on this page about any of the words or the comic? Any questions? Okay, let's go to the next page then. And let's have...
Maybe just why the girl say drop dead.
Okay, Drop Dead. That's good. So Drop Dead is a interesting... huh?
I know the meaning. I only want to know if it's very common to say something like that.
Yeah. So I think it was more common maybe in the 1990s. Drop Dead. It's not very common now. You don't hear many people saying Drop Dead. But I think in the 90s when I was a kid, people said it a lot. But I don't think it's very common anymore. But yeah, it means like go away or stop bothering me. Or literally just drop dead. But good. And Araceli, welcome to class. Araceli, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing well. Javier, okay, so drop dead means just die, pretty much. It's just old people say that now. I don't think any old people say it. I think it was a really young expression, so a lot of young people said it, but it's kind of gone out of style, so nobody really says it anymore. It's not common. But Javier, it just means go away or stop bothering me or something like that. Or it could literally mean like I hope you die, but not usually.
Okay.
Okay, good. And perfect. And let's go to the next page. And let's have, I think we're on Rafa. Rafa, can you read the paragraph?
Yeah. In the United States, and in the rest of the world, people are coming to alternative schools. People are educating themselves online, sending their children to Montessori schools, or opting for private education.
Nice, really good reading. Um, Education is a little bit different. Can you repeat education?
Education.
Education.
Nice, education. So it's got the j sound instead of the straight d. It's more like a j, education.
Education.
Perfect.
Thank you.
And sorry, I made a typo here. There should be an e at the end of themselves. Sorry. Themselves. Oh, and I made it again. There. Okay, and Rafa, can you ask Miguel the first question?
What do you think about alternative education? Education.
I think that it's a good idea to have several choices to choose the best in your case. I think that in Spain the public education is good, or at least it was good to me, and I prefer that public education than other alternative education such as online private education.
Nice. Okay. Awesome. Really great answer. So you prefer public education over private or online education? Definitely. We'd say it was good for me is the only small thing. I think you said it was good to me. We just changed that preposition to for. But awesome. Really good answer. Okay. And Miguel, can you ask Javier the next question?
Do you think that online education is a good option for young students?
I feel that online education is not a good option for young students. Maybe it could be a good option for the all student. For example, in my case, I usually don't have free times. It's a good option. For that, it's a good option. The online education. If I want to get a second career, I could study by the internet.
Nice. Yeah, I could study on the internet. That would be good. Just the on preposition. And remember saying, instead of saying, I think it would not be, I don't think it is a good option. Can you repeat that sentence? Yeah. Okay, and sorry. Do you have a question, Javier?
I don't know what's the Montessori school.
Okay, Montessori is just a person's name, and so it's a different type of education. It's a different way of educating somebody that person kind of invented, and it's really popular in the United States right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so to me or for me, yeah, again, it's just really depends on what you're trying to say. So it's not for me. She gave it to me. So if it's like something that you're receiving, it would be to.
Sentence.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
It depends on in the sentence that you use.
Yeah, it definitely depends on the sentence that you're using. She gave it to me. That works for me. Araceli, really good job. It seems to me is another good example. Um, so yeah, it could depend on the verb. A good option for me. Um, the present to me. Yeah. So it does depend
I
on the
understand.
verb.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. And I think Javier, can you ask David the next question?
David, do you know any other types of alternative education?
Okay, mm, here are the more important kind of education, but I think now social media, for example, you can read a lot of articles or links uh, that have good information. You have read tutorial. You, I don't know.
Nice, okay. Those are definitely some types of alternative education. It's more of like a self-education, which is definitely possible in this time. Okay, perfect. Does anybody else have anything that they want to add, or does anybody have a question they want to answer on this page? Okay, or any questions? So anything on this page before we move on?
I have a question. I don't know if it's related to this. For example, in Spain, we have public education, private schools, but we also have another kind, and I don't know how you could name that, and if you have that in your country, for example, it's what we call here like we have like concerts. They are really private schools, but they are paid by with taxes from the contributor from the government. So they are usually religious schools, and I don't know if it's not public and it's not private. It's something in the middle. So I wouldn't know how to name this in English, and if this system is working in another countries.
Ah, sorry about that. Yeah, my microphone was off. Sorry, but yeah, charter school is definitely a good way of saying it. You could say it's or a semi-public school, but a charter school is a good way of saying it. I know there are a lot of schools that are like that in Canada. There are a few in the US, but that would be a charter school. Any other questions on this page?
Teacher,
Javier, do you have a question?
teacher, I have a question. Uh, uh, what's your opinion? There is a kind of education I don't remember. That is when when the teachers go to the house students to give private private class.
Okay, that's private tutoring. So that's just a tutor, it's a one-on-one
It's like
class.
it's about the for example the rich people, no?
The micro. The micro.
Yep, awesome. So, Araceli, can you read the first quotation? Thank you again. Sorry about that.
You're welcome.
Okay. Education is the kindling of a flame, not the filling of a vessel. Over.
Nice. And Socrates, we would say in English. Can you repeat Socrates?
Socrates.
Socrates.
Is soccer.
Yeah. And Javier, did I answer your last question about tutoring, or was my microphone off?
What's your opinion about there is a kind of education when all the teachers go to the house students to give private class.
Yeah, and that would be tutoring. Sorry. So that's tutoring, and it's definitely something that's more common in rich families, usually very wealthy families, because private tutoring is a bit more expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but good. Okay. And so, Araceli, can you ask the class what this quotation means? So, Araceli, can you just ask generally that question?
What does this quotation mean? Do you agree or disagree, and why?
Yeah, and so does anybody have any input? Does anybody want to answer? What do you think this means? Or if you want, ask questions about the meanings of these words. So does anybody have any questions about this quotation? Any questions?
Yeah, I would like to know what does means kindly.
Okay. So we would say, what does... Repeat the question.
Yeah, what does kindling mean?
Yeah, kindling. Kindling.
Kindling.
Okay. So in this sentence, kindling is just the starting or the sparking of a fire. A lot of times, kindling is just the type of wood that you use to start a fire. So small sticks and leaves and newspaper is kindling. But in this case, it's the starting or the sparking. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, encendimiento, maybe Araceli. But good. And yeah, any other questions about any of the other words? Any other questions? Okay. So hopefully there's no other questions. So does anybody have any ideas? Can anybody guess what it means? Can I have a volunteer?
I think it's a very good question because actually I'm a teacher too, and I think that if you are just trying your students to memorize things and learn things that they are not interested in, this is going to be very hard and it's not useful at all. So the main role of a very good teacher should be to make their students get interested in topics. So that's I think what it means by kindling the flame, to make to wake interest in them. But it's very hard.
Nice.
Such an work to
Yeah, you were breaking up a little bit at the end. That sounded really good. Yeah, but I think that you're definitely on target. That sounds perfect. Also, the idea that it's not the filling of a vessel. So it can't really ever end, or it shouldn't ever end. There's no end point where you know all the information. So it's like a fire where it will just consume everything around it, and there's no like end of material to learn or to know. the bigger it gets, the more it consumes. And the filling of a vessel is like you get to an end point and you can't learn anymore. But yeah, Araceli, I think that's awesome when you're taking it in regards to teaching and kindling a fire in your students. Does anybody have any questions about this? Any questions about those definitions or explanations? Okay, and Araceli, can you ask Antonio the next question? Sorry, Araceli, can you ask Antonio the next question?
Well, do you agree or disagree?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you
Oh,
now.
sorry, because I'm having some trouble with my connection. So, Antonio, do you agree or disagree with it?
Well, I agree because I think the education is the base of the society where it's necessary to get a good and knowledge society. Like Socrates says, education is the kindling of a flame. It's the base. It's necessary the kindling to 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 the fire, the flame.
Nice. Okay. Um, I think you've got a good point. Kindling. Can you repeat kindling, Antonio?
Yes, kindling,
Yeah, kindling.
kindling. Okay,
Yeah, kindling. Um, and you can also say it like kindling. Kindling.
kindling.
Yeah, so kindling or kindling. Both are correct, and there's not
Oh,
too much of a difference between them. I think this one, the first one, is easier to pronounce, but good.
okay.
Nice job, Antonio. Good answer. Alba, can you read the next quotation?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Education, the path from cocky ignorance to miserable uncertainty.
Good. And can you repeat uncertainty? Uncertainty?
Uh, Uncertainty.
Yeah, awesome. Uncertainty. And so, can anybody tell us what they think this quotation means? Does anybody have any guesses as to what this means?
I think it's related to a metaphor about how knowledge or education begins with ignorance and is like a path, like a street to the uncertain, to have many doubts about everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And somebody else had a point?
I think the more you know, the less you think you know. So next, you discover you need to learn more things. So maybe talking about that.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect definition. The more you know, the less you think you know. It's definitely talking about that. Cocky, Bruno, can anybody define cocky for Bruno? Does anybody know? Okay, so it's really self-assured. So if you're cocky, um, I guess you could be self-assured. You can be confident that you know what the right answer is. Um, like Cristiano Ronaldo would be a cocky soccer player, I guess if I was to choose one. So somebody who's cocky is just somebody who thinks that they're the best or that they know everything. So cocky ignorance is just really self-assured person who really doesn't know anything. Um, yeah. But good. And so let's have Alba. Do you agree or do you disagree, and why? With the quote. Okay, Alba, are you still with us? Are you there, Alba? Okay, sorry, Santiago, do you disagree or do you agree with the quotation, Santiago? Okay, let's move to Rafa. Rafa, do you agree or disagree?
With the quotation before education is the best. Yeah. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as much you know, more dove you could have. And this is a interesting quotation because knowledge is always unfinished. It has no limit. And also, it is improve for the humankind to develop new approach and new strategies and new forms of education could be.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, maybe it'd kind of provide an impetus for us to develop new forms of education. Good. Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments about anything on this page? Any questions or comments?
I think this is not always true because sometimes people who have an education, a high education, they are very proud of themselves. Maybe they are a little cocky too.
Yeah.
So I think I understand the meaning, but it's not always true.
Yeah.
Some people think they are better people because they have a higher education, and that is not always true.
Yeah, so it could be like the path from cocky ignorance to cocky, or the path from cocky ignorance to the path to cocky educated ignorance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Awesome. That's an awesome point. And I definitely agree with you. Okay. And so if that's it, let's go to the next page. And I need 2 volunteers. So the first 2 people who write me in the chat box are our volunteers. So like that. Just in the chat box, right? That you're willing to volunteer. Okay, Miguel. So you can be the mother. And so we still need a father. Who wants to role play for the father? Okay, so I'm going to choose somebody, I guess. Bruno, that's going to be you. You're going to be the father. So Miguel, can you read the mother's role?
Okay. Mother, you want your children to enroll in an experiment in an experimental school. They don't assign grades and they let the students choose what to study. Try to convince your husband that your children should attend this alternative school.
Nice, that sounded good. The only small thing I saw, sorry, hold on, Bruno, was convince. Convince. Can you repeat convince, Miguel?
Convince.
Good, okay. And Bruno, can you read the father's role?
Okay. You don't want your kids to change schools. You think traditional schools are best. Convince your wife that this new school with no curriculum and few rules will be a bad alternative for your kids.
Awesome. Okay, and so can you guys go ahead and have this discussion?
Okay, Father, I I have a new solution for the studies of our children. As you know, our children are not doing his best effort to to get the grade in the university. So I think we have to choose an alternative school. What do you think?
Um, I think you're right. I think they need to study more, and I think they are spending so much time doing um, you know bad stuff. They are not studying. They are just spending their time without doing nothing that is productive. I think you're right.
Okay, well, that was a quick argument. Okay, and so yeah, I guess that can be about where we finish. So does anybody have any last questions before we finish up class? Okay. And so one small thing, Miguel, just when you're talking about our child, um, you could say either our child isn't or our children aren't. I think you said our children isn't. So it depends on singular or plural. Children is plural and child is singular. But again, class is about over. So if you have any questions, let me know. But if not, have a really good day.